What kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
Tom, stop it. Stop it. Didn't I told you guys to relax?
I wanted to show you this because this person here, their first thing is that they're a Swiftie, right? You're telling me that this is a Star Wars fan, and they come in and say, Ship's so good. The actors are openly supporting it, and then guess who responds?
Wow. Huh. Look at that. Oh, what Knights of Melon say? What did he say? But like, yeah, they like this. You know what's funny? So Leslie Headland did an interview, and she's talking about like the first day the episode comes out, they're passing around fan fiction and shit. Like they're all reading these shipping fan fiction that people are going around. They're so excited that the shippers are into this shit.
Dude. Well, they're so excited that they actually made it for shippers. They actually intentionally made.
All right, dude, shippers are the worst. Like I had a recent bout with them because I made a video essay on like Final Fantasy VII. I just made it what I thought was just an objective statement. And then I got, after 2 weeks, somehow they discovered my tweet and they just went after me. Like, you piece of shit.
Wait, what did you say?
I said that if you analyze the game objectively and its themes and the character arcs, it's clear that Cloud and Tifa end up as a couple by the end of the game. I said it's, and then in the video essay, I explain it in depth, and they go, like, they're you piece of shit. They were actually like calling me a bad person. And I was like, dude, like, take it easy, man.
Oh my gosh.
But
is that your first time experiencing that?
Ship from crazy. I mean, I've dealt with crazy fans. Like one time I said Old Nude Mutants was better, and I got like called a homophobe or something, and I was like, what? But no, shippers are a different league.
They are.
They're I don't even think they care about stories or themes or character development.
They don't.
Or gameplay. I don't think they care about any of that. I think they only care about.
So let me give you the rundown on shippers, right? Most of them do not play the games. They watch Let's Plays of them, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go on Tumblr and they say, oh my God, I love Vincent Valentine. Could you totally imagine him ironing his clothing? He's so cute. He's my man. And they do this shit, right? And it's endless. And they do it for years to the point of it becomes their fucking reality. So then when they see Vincent Valentine on the screen again, they've already got this headcanon. And if it deviates from anything that they've created, they will literally send death threats to the fucking makers of the game.
Yeah.
Savvy's right. In fact,
it's crazy.
This goes into any shipping thing. Because, like, I don't know if you guys remember when It Chapter 2 came out a few years back, like, the gay community lost their fucking minds over it. Because, you know, they kill that gay character in the beginning. It's like, well, if anybody would have read a book that's, I don't know, 40 years old, you would have known that was what happens. But anyway, we couldn't figure out why the gay community was flipping out about this. Well, it turns out there was a group of shippers in the gay community who decided to ship it, Pennywise the Clown, with Babadook. And when Pennywise ended up killing a gay guy in the movie, they found that as the most like it was the hugest
it's almost like he's
insult to them or whatever. And it's like, y'all would have read the book, y'all would have known, huh? Like, so I think you're right, Savvy. They don't really pay attention to anything but the surface level shit. And they just, that's why things like the Raylo thing were popular.
It's
right.
It's insane.
Yeah, that Raylo audience was.
And that's what they're trying to capture with this.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also
Raylo's attacked me.
But it's even so I'll have I'm a huge X-Men fan, right? And I'll be like, I like Cyclops and Jean Grey. I have other friends that are hardcore X-Men fans. They're like, I like Wolverine and Jean Grey, and we'll rip on each other and be like, you're an idiot, you know, whatever. But I won't straight up block them or be like they're a bad person. I'll just be like, we disagree.
And I don't want to say there's anything wrong with fan fiction or any of that kind of shit, but like what Savvy's saying is true. If you're gonna let your little headcanon like literally drive you to death threats, then that's a you problem and you really need some help.
Yeah,
right?
most normal
in regards
people.
To what Coleman was saying is that there is a natural progression of characters and their relationships with each other, especially when it comes to X-Men and when it comes to Cyclops and Jean Grey and all of that sort of thing, where in this they're literally just flipping the characters, making them fall in love for the sake of actually putting it on the screen. There's no natural progression within the characters for them to be motivated to essentially, quote unquote, fall in love with this other character.
And I've seen this happen with multiple shows. Like, you guys ever watch Arrow?
Yeah.
So in season 4, out of nowhere, they decide that like
that show, that's a CW show, though.
Yeah, I know.
Those live for shipping.
But that's my point, though, is that they deviated so far that it was like you could tell that it wasn't a natural shift in the writing. It was just they listen to the fans, and whenever they do that, it never works because it's like obviously
are you talking about Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke?
Yeah. Black Canary just gets like sidelined. I mean, they fucked her up anyway, but still.
Yeah, they kill her off in season 3 or 4. 4.
Yeah.
Most normal
and
shippers and enjoyer of fandom so if you're an American and you're normal, right? Then you like shipping stuff, you got fucking chased off the internet. All that's left on Tumblr are the crazy ones. Because like I got death threats for drawing the wrong ship because Raylos were fucking insane.
Yeah, they were harassing. Yeah. They harassed for
Adam
real.
Driver,
Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. Not as much. Adam Driver got the most harassment. They were like trying to
split with his wife.
They wanted him to break up with his wife so that him and Daisy Ridley could be together in real life.
World relationship. Yeah.
It's fucking insane, man.
Psychotic.
Yeah. Nuts, dude.
And so
they went crazy over that shit.
Yeah, so these people will make multiple accounts and then they're all in a Discord together and they'll go target harass other individuals. It's the same thing like for any fandom in art or whatever. Like this is what Americans do. They just harass and threaten until somebody can't take it anymore and then they remove themselves from the internet or go anon or whatever. It's actually really fucking disgusting.
Well, then the other way though that they'll justify it or try and like, you know, give you guys out there a gotcha is by saying, there was shipping back in the OT days when people wanted Luke and Leia to get together and all of this kind of thing. And it's like,
that's not the same.
It's very much not the same thing, but that's how they push it. And it's the same thing when people talk about like lore and canon and stuff like that. And then they go, there was somebody recently that tried to get me with a gotcha by saying, the stormtrooper bumped his head walking into the on the Death Star. You know, everybody's seen it. Mm-hmm. They try and use things like that to try and say, see, Star Wars has never been good. Like
what? Yeah, mistakes dude. I love finding movie mistakes in there's one scene in Children of the Corn. I swear to God, I was watching with my friends where if you just pause it, there's just straight up a boom mic being held, and I'm like that shit happens even in great movies.
It does. You'll see in some great movies where you can like see cameraman reflections and stuff. But let's take a look at what Grace has to say. You can see she's excited.
Oh, look at those eyes.
Yeah, look at her makeup. Look at the makeup she's got going on this week.
He looks like she's about to huck. She looks like she's about to huck two on that thing.
Fellas, take it easy.
Somebody in the chat. Somebody in the chat was saying that she must be getting makeup tips from a drag queen.
No, because then the makeup would look good.
Take it easy, fellas. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
It's hard to follow up an episode as amazing as episode 5. And to be honest with you, I think episode 6 doesn't quite live up to the challenge. I think the only thing that would be satisfying after so much glorious action is
she's going for that 80s look with her hair.
You paused it again on the perfect.
I think she's been listening to us and she's trying harder and failing miserably.
I just can't wait to be told what's interesting without actually describing why it's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
Typical.
Info dump of answers. And instead, here we get the promise of answers to come. In episode 7, maybe? Or 8? I mean, I'm nervous because Disney Plus with their Marvel and Star Wars shows has a track record of not delivering the answers that they promised. You know, saying they'll come maybe in season 2, and then it takes forever for season 2. And then maybe, maybe season 3, and you're like, come on.
She's talking about the mystery boxes that they've basically set up and how they're not really answering them. And this was a filler episode when it comes to that. But in the process of them doing that, they then continue to destroy what Star Wars essentially is. I mean, they're already setting up the Jedi to be the bad guys, right? But in this episode, they start to say things like, if you're being trained by the Jedi and then you stop that training and you stop exercising, quote unquote, that muscle of using the Force, you'll lose the ability to use the Force. And based on what we know from the OT, that's not how the Force works. I mean, the Force is flowing through you constantly. If you do have the ability to wield the Force, you're constantly feeling the Force. It's not
it binds us. It surrounds us.
That's exactly right. But in this
penetrates
episode,
our anus.
and then they say, oh, the one way around that is to dabble in the dark side, and you'll be able to feel the Force forever if you use the dark side.
It just
despite
tickles
whether
you.
or not you practice it or not. It's like, it's one thing to say that they're not answering those questions, but it's another thing where they're actually destroying established lore and canon throughout these episodes as well. So yes, nothing happened in this episode other than more destruction of real Star Wars. That's all I wanted to say.
Come on, man. So at least Quamir took his shirt off this episode.
Oh, she's the thirst trap. Look at the smile on that face.
Yeah, no.
He's beaming.
Oh, great.
He's glowing.
At least he took
She
his
diddled
shirt off
before
in this
the show.
episode.
Don't you love that like double standard there?
Yeah.
It's always like that.
It is. Well, Alyssa Mercanti was talking about how great it is. Did you guys see that?
Yep,
She's-
they did
and then
fan
somebody
service
said
the
double
right way.
standards, huh? And she's like straight up correct.
What?
And then she tried to say, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
you should take a joke."
About that.
Yeah, there
No,
was.
because
I don't know.
She backpedaled by saying they can't take a joke because she realized how hypocritical she sounds when she says shit like
Big
that.
I don't think she
time.
realized shit.
Man,
She just got upset.
this is what Star Wars is now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not for
Yep.
Star Wars fans. It's not to expand on the lore or the canon. It's purely just there for the
Bro,
first
it stopped with
chapter.
Last Jedi,
Throw
bro.
down- 100%
It's been-
did. 100%
it's been
did,
over.
Fatal. But the thing is that now we've gotten to a point where nothing other than this stuff matters. Like that, at least back then, they might have like, oh, maybe we try and do this and we try and do that and we try and make it connect here, or we try, and they failed miserably, right? But now this is all Star Wars is. It's for pronoun people on Twitter. It's for the LGBTQs, and
That's for Tumblr.
and it's for
shippers.
the
It's only
shippers,
it's
the
only for
thirst
Tumblr.
trap.
Thank God I
that's
never
the
used
audi-
Tumblr. Thank God.
That's the audience that they want now, is the Tumblr audience.
And you saw
think-
Star Wars. The Star
Do
Wars
they have
Twitter
money?
account. Star Wars Twitter
I don't-
account is responding to those people. Those people have way less followers. That person had less than 1,000 followers, less than 500, I think. And they're responding to them saying, "Yeah, I knew it. Knew that you'd love this." Okay.
And I told you about Beefcake, and Saul acted very suspicious, which is, I think, very interesting.
No, there's
wrong
no
with
mystery
Beefcake?
here. The green lady, that's Leslie Headland's wife. That's the Sith master that trained
Yep.
this dude right here. I forget his
Although,
name.
no,
agree.
I don't think it's the Sith Master. I think it's the old Jedi Master, like his Jedi Master. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she's Sith.
I don't think she's.
Oh,
Sith either, but
she abused him. Those like whip marks on his back. Oh yeah, what a mystery.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
100%.
Saul is Sith? Is that his big secret?
No.
No,
No.
but he's of course gonna be living with why they did something bad, whatever it was with the lesbian witches.
Oh, I see. They're gonna make him worse than Sith. They're gonna make.
It
the
wouldn't
Sith look good.
surprise me if
Mhm.
his master ends up being Plagueis or Tenebrous or something like
You
that.
think they're gonna do that?
It wouldn't surprise me. Like that, because then they can say, "See, we're bringing the EU. We're bringing the EU into canon again." And again, it's stupid. I mean, Dave Filoni has come out and said, if we're going to take stuff from the EU and make it something that it's not, then it's rude.
I've
He
got to
just said that
watch.
in an interview.
Leslie Headland did a whole 30-minute interview with the Mary Sue on their channel. I got to watch. I saw EFAP was going over it. I'm going to watch it tomorrow at some point. It's got that Rachel writer. I forget her last name. She thinks she's hot, but she kind of looks like a pig.
Yep.
Wow.
What are you talking about?
She
I
got
don't
like
know
a
who you're
pig
talking
face.
about. I need to see this person.
She thinks she's hot shit. If you look at her social media, she's always posting.
What's her name?
pictures of
Rachel
herself.
what?
I don't remember her last name. It's on the Mary Sue's YouTube channel.
Let's see. Mary
It's
Sue.
funny when they brought up Kiadi Mundi in that interview, and she's like, oh, it's a stupid thing that the fans are complaining about. It's like, this is, if you were ever a Star Wars fan, this is the problem that I see, is if you were ever a Star Wars fan, then you should essentially have a problem with the things that they're actually doing. I mean, it's something as simple as, and I know Ryan has brought this up a lot, but the simple aspect of travel time and stuff like that in the galaxy just doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's her. I see her.
Oh yeah, they just blink in and out to the outer rim.
Yeah. Hyperspace is hyperspace teleportation now, and it has been for a long time. I've been saying this since all the way back in Mando days, or even the Rise of Skywalker with the hyperspace skipping. When he jumps in and jumps out of hyperspace,
that was ridiculous.
And they end up on a planet every time. In the vacuum of space, there's more of a chance they jump in, jump out of hyperspace.
Don't think about it, just consume.
It's so dumb.
I remember,
and this is why I say that Disney Star Wars isn't Star Wars, because if it was Star Wars, it would abide by the laws and the rules of the universe, and it doesn't.
They're not sci-fi writers. Sci-fi writers know that you have to have an internal logical consistency to what it's like, a Sanderson magic system in his novels, right? It doesn't matter what it is, and you can suspend your disbelief of one or two things as long as that's consistent. But if you have to just change your assumption every single time that a power is used in a different way or technology is breached in a different way, there's no framework to hang anything on, and everything just feels cheap. Everything just feels worthless and invested.
You're exactly right, bro. I can remember as a Star Wars fan, the Jedi was a rarity. Every time you see them coming on screen, it was exciting, but it's so oversaturated with the Jedi. So many Jedi survives Order 66. Lightsabers are not fun anymore. It just sucks, man. Well, what do I have to look forward to?
Yeah,
it's just not fun anymore, man.
All right, let's continue.
All right, so as the Acolyte does enter its endgame, just 2 episodes to go, it's also time to start thinking about the potential legacy of this show.
We know what the legacy is of the show. The legacy of this show is thirsty, horny women. That's what the legacy of this show is.
And gay men.
Well, yeah,
I don't think gay men watch this show, to be honest. I think this show's all thirsty women.
No, this is going after young adult shit. What do you think the whole initiative started as books for? They want to build this impression that this is the next Twilight / Harry Potter / whatever Divergent series, Hunger 100%. Games, whatever you want to put in there. And that's exactly what they're selling this as. Even Leslie herself has said so many in so many words the same kind of thing. They even said that they're happy they have the Reylo crowd. They're even acknowledging this crowd, right? It's just ridiculous. It's
one of my friends who with Lucasfilm, connected to Lucasfilm, he said that all the Acolyte is doing is going to lead into the Rey movie that's coming out.
Yeah, because
Rey's going to be propped up as the savior.
This is the sad thing is, obviously, I grew up in Star Wars and I'm so apathetic. I'm like, I forgot the Rey movie was coming out until you mentioned that. Like, I'm so out of it, and I'm their target audience. Well, it was their target audience.
In about 3 years, they're going to hope everybody forgot there was going to be a Rey movie coming out. But yeah.
Well, they're not going to forget.
Everyone's worried about the Rey
that movie's for sure coming.
I'm more worried about the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie. Because they're going to explain where the Force comes from in that movie.
The thing is, out of all those announced movies that they did come out with, the James Mangold one, the Mando one with Dave Filoni, or the thing, the James Mangold one that is the one that I think will get scrapped the most.
Yeah, the only two that are for sure coming are the Mandalorian. That's going to happen, and Rey's movie. Those two I know for sure are coming. You got to be careful with this because remember, the Acolyte was just a sizzle reel for years.
Let's be real, though. At the end of the day, what difference does it make? That's the point. Because Star Wars is fucking dead. They are at the point where they are admitting that they are so desperate for a crowd. They're doing everything they can to get 12-year-old girls interested into this fucking show. What 12-year-old girl is going to give a fuck about Star Wars?
Dude, I spent my whole childhood
gave a fuck about Star Wars.
My childhood, I would try so hard to get my sister into Star Wars, and she couldn't. But I'm supposed to believe that now suddenly women are going to just be in droves.
Well, here's the other thing:
Star Wars. They're not.
I've talked about this before, and this is, I think, part of the problem with some of the younger kids. And my son is at that age now too, where it's like
there are many.
He's grown up at that point where it's like they haven't had anything that's theirs, right? Let's remember, Star Wars is basically their grandpa's franchise to these kids. Like, they don't give a fuck about Star Wars. They don't give a shit about any of this stuff that we have coming out. That's why they don't care. They don't treat it sacred. Same thing with Star Trek or anything else. It's not sacred to them.
It used to be generational.
It used to be.
The whole reason why I got into sci-fi and got into Star Wars was really because of my dad's love of Star Trek, which is crazy to think that I'm not a massive Trekkie and I'm more a Star Wars fan than that. But
think about it now for a minute, Rhino. We have had 10 years alone, actually a little more than that, where Disney has been in charge of this thing. So there's a whole 10 years gone. And then you have to go another 10 or so plus years before that, before you even had any movies in theaters. Yes, you had cartoons and such and the EU and other things, but you need a movie to get kids into this stuff. So we're literally removed an entire fucking generation now from when the last decent Star Wars thing came out. So all these kids have had has been the Force Awakens and shit.
Like when you refer to kids, you mean like Gen Z? So like they don't have anything? Would you
consider like
name one thing? Okay, then tell me, please, what you guys have that's yours that wasn't originally something.
Well, hold on. I'm going to agree with you in parts and disagree. Hold on. I'm going to agree in large part that we don't have a lot of original IPs. On that, I am fully agreeing with you.
And that's not your fault, so don't take that the wrong way.
No, I'm not. No, dude, I shit on my generation all the fucking time. Like, but it's like, no, I'm totally in agreement with you. I think about it all the time when I leave the theaters, because I would always ask my mom, how did you react when you saw this iconic movie? Very rarely do I walk out of a movie theater and think this is something I'm going to tell my kids about that I grew up with. And it's sad. I feel like we're missing a lot of iconic new franchises, and it's because that's the model. We just pump each old franchise out until it's dead.
I think Gen Z just has Stranger Things. That's all you guys have.
And even then,
but is that really?
And what is that? 30-year-old women.
Yeah, I know. But
hold on, everybody, stop talking over each other.
But here's my example right now. You've got Despicable Me 4 in theaters right now. The first movie came out in 2010.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. We're at a cultural stagnation, and we have been for a while. Sure, there's a few things here and there. That's why I think One Piece caught on the way it did, because it's not original and new, but it's something that was fresh for a lot of people here.
Even though, Tom, the one-off movies, like, okay, the other night I watched Crimson Tide. Man, I can't. I've seen it before, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I was still sitting on the edge of my seat watching that movie. The simple storytelling just does not exist. And I feel sorry for the kids these days. I feel sorry for this current generation coming through, because they've got nothing like what we had, right? I mean, I reckon the closest thing that they've had to that is John Wick.
Yeah,
that is about it. And that's
was going to be the example I was going to list. That's
like what, 2012?
Yeah,
that first one came out. So yeah, you're already that far removed from that, and that's kind of my point. And I even see people bringing up Harry Potter. You guys in chat, you got to realize Harry Potter is the generation before.
Yeah, I agree. Because when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, that's when Harry Potter came out.
Oh shit! So hey, thank you, Camelot. Camelot did a raid. Thanks, Cam.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the last big original things that kids had, besides some Despicable Me's and a few things like that. Even stuff like Madagascar and Shrek. That's even the generation before my kid.
Correct.
That was my generation. That was my generation.
And they had cultural impact too. Like nothing these days really has a massive cultural impact for kids to learn from, or
they don't have a Goonies, they don't have an E.T., they don't have any of that kind of stuff like we had growing up. Even stuff like Beverly Hills Cop. We're on our 4th Beverly Hills Cop film now this weekend, and I know I was going to try and bring it up at some point, but yeah.
Well, there's just too much stuff out there, and for my kids, it's they don't connect to anything in terms of movies or television. They don't watch.
Neither did my kid.
They don't even go to watch movies. They have more connection with game IPs.
That's a really good point, Grummz. Like, a lot of kids aren't watching this stuff.
Even
they're more so playing like video games and
Even Fast and the Furious is 20 years old already, guys.
They've got bigger memories of video games and franchises and story arcs and genres in video games than they have any connection to.
That's
movies.
true.
The biggest thing with like younger people right now is anime, manga, video
and
games.
anime.
Yep.
Yeah, anime too.
YouTubers.
That's
YouTubers
that's
and live
it.
streamers.
And YouTube. That's right. Live
Yeah.
streamers, YouTube content,
Parasocial relationships.
video games, anime,
Yep.
manga. That's what younger people are consuming. Hollywood
I agree.
is dead to them.
I agree.
Well, it has nothing to offer them. That's what I'm getting at, right? Like, they haven't brought anything out to say, here you go. Here's something new for you to get into, right?
Flash summed up my son in those threes: video games, YouTube, and anime. That's all he do.
My kid's not into the anime, but he's into the other stuff, right?
But even when you have
and we're
good
getting
stuff,
our asses kicked on U.S. soil, Japan. Like it's 4th of July is coming up, and we're thinking about what new iconic franchises do we have? I mean, and this applies across all things. Hell, even look at, Stellar Blade is not from the U.S. Even the new franchises we're getting. I mean, even look, I was thinking, like, what game have I been playing? We talk about games. Final Fantasy VII, a new Final Fantasy VII game. So, game in a franchise that is older than me, right? Like, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, look at the franchise we have, and I love those franchises. I want them to continue, but in terms of new IPs, you guys are 100% right. We don't have a lot.
Yeah, really everything these days is either a remake or a remaster, re something.
Yep,
that's all it is.
I think part of it is just the quantity. I mean, it's the same thing with music. There's no mega bands anymore, right? There's no one.
No, it's all about singles.
Kids follow. Yeah,
singles. Music's changed a lot because it's no longer, unless it's like Taylor Swift, the record is dead. Like you don't. I remember it used to be CDs.
There's still big bands, especially in like metal. There's usually at least like one big band every year that kind of breaks out.
But that's still kind of like a niche thing. It almost
true.
Yeah,
right my for example, you could say like Spirit Box was a big band that kind of broke out a few years ago. Then it was Bad Omens, and then last year it was Sleep Token. This year I don't know, but like there's still quite a few big bands that are coming. Bring Me the Horizon. I mean, chat. Anyone listens to that?
I've never heard of any of those. Literally,
really?
Me either. I never heard of them either.
Well, the thing is, we don't have the collective radio like we used to have, or MTV and stuff. But get back to the video.
Well, Bring Me the Horizon is a big band, so
it's just. I mean,
for all the hate that the show has garnered, it has.
What were you gonna say, Grummz?
Oh, that was.
Wasn't me.
Don't worry about it. No, let's get back to Grace.
Has consistently trended at the top every single night that it has aired, which is a plus.
Oh, okay. Now she's playing some shit here. Now look where it's trending. Entertainment, right? She makes it sound like it's trending like number one overall.
And it's only 25K posts.
Yeah, that ain't shit, piss. Dude.
That's piss for Star Wars.
George is in the back, by the way.
George is in the back.
Oh, let's bring him in.
I figured you weren't on.
George the Giant, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, George.
What's going on?
Hey, George.
How you doing?
Happy birthday.
I love that face on Grace.
Oh, happy birthday, George.
Happy birthday, George.
Oh, happy birthday, bro.
I appreciate it. Well, I guess a little bit. 30 minutes. Yeah. Oh, Grace. Here we go again with Grace.
She says it's trending number one overall, but she's leaving out that it's trending in the subsection of entertainment, which is fine. But what competition does it have? And when was it trending? It was probably trending the day it came out.
But hang on, also too, I want to make the distinction that just because it's trending doesn't mean that it's good. A lot of people, even when
a lot of people were probably making fun of it.
I do my reviews and I post my video on Twitter and I put the hashtag the Acolyte with it. It doesn't mean that I'm thinking that it's a good fucking show.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
More than 50% of those 24.5K posts
are making fun of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because you got to look at because Nerdrotic shits on it and he's got a big count. So whenever he does that, his post takes off and everyone's posting on it and laughing. That is probably a shitload. Him, Critical Drinker does it. That's probably a shitload of those posts. So you're absolutely right.
I'm sorry. I'm curious.
She doesn't bring that up. She says it's all shippers.
Yeah, and it's all trending and it's great. It's great that it's
shippers are not a good thing.
Sorry, George. Go, George.
No, I was saying, does Grace Randolph's face look like showrunner Harry Beaver put a finger somewhere it doesn't belong? I mean, just I don't know.
She's trying to doll herself up now.
Come on.
I think she must be watching our reviews of her content.
There's just something wrong here.
You should have seen it when we started what her face looked like.
Plus for Disney Plus, building on the momentum of X-Men '97, which was also very popular.
The fuck does X-Men 97 have to do with this?
X-Men 97, from what I've seen so far, is great though, but it's nothing to do with this, right? Like,
No.
Yeah, let's hear what she has to say.
On social media, but unfortunately had not the same great drop time. I really think this 9 p.m. Eastern Standard drop time, I'm sorry, my global friends, but I think, for the news sources primarily, it's a tough call. But I really do think that it benefits.
I agree with her on that it's I think the 9 p.m. time is better because they used to do this shit so that it benefited California so that it would drop at 12 a.m.
I
California
disagree
time.
It drops at 11 a.m. for me and I'm at work, so I'm not there to be able
You
to
can't get out there and crank out a video real quick.
That's right. Fuck you, Disney.
It's content to drop at this time. The HBO drop time is excellent. And I still think it's ridiculous that Prime Video gave it up when they were also one of the first to jump on it. All right, so we've been talking about how Beefcake has been vital to the popularity of the MCU. And sure enough, the official entrance of the Stranger in episode 5.
Is that true? These shirtless scenes?
No. That's what made the MCU take off? Really?
This dumb hoe.
This
he
is a dumb
not a fucking beefcake though. He's literally a fit twink. His body is fine. It's great. And guess what? That's what the Tumblr bitches love. They love a fit fucking twink. I would know. I love fit fucking twinks, but it's so forced.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right. But you know what, Marv? She's not going with the other half because they used to have it with women too in the MCU because we all remember Scarlett Johansson in her cat suit, especially that the second Iron Man, hell, even in the Avengers movie. And the difference between that and this is this show fucking revolves around it.
Yeah.
This was just kind of little fan service shit for women thrown in there. It didn't revolve around this. Oh, here's a shirtless Steve Rogers. It was like 2 seconds. It wasn't the whole fucking movie.
Same thing with Jason Momoa in the DC films.
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll
objectify some eye candy.
So they'll objectify the guys, but they won't give us any.
And it's
women.
okay. That's okay.
Well, they used to give us women.
Used to a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well,
and
see,
now
the
we
thing
get
is
a Harlequin romance novel in the
what
first.
pisses me off is they act like it's always been so one-sided, right? Like that's the argument, and that's why the double standard is quote unquote supposed to be okay. It's like, well, that's bullshit. Because the whole reason my mom would love to see Mel Gibson movies back in the days, because she knew there was going to be an obligatory ass shot somewhere in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we got a curse.
They even
here.
made fun of it.
It was a
in
cursed
Loaded
image.
Weapon 1, but anyway, oh god,
cursed image.
Why would you?
And you brought it up. What's wrong with you?
Oh shit, you're right.
Crap.
Created a perfect storm of thirst tweets and respect for his fighting skills. That the online
Hold on, everyone is mocking his fighting skills because the fucking choreography was awful. Number one, and I love that she brings up these thirst tweets too.
But the thing is Grace only pays attention to that side of the fandom. So yes, even all the thirst people are actually talking about how good the fighting is. When you actually break it down and watch it, it's like you're swinging for an invisible person there because they're not even standing there and we're never there. Like she only pays attention to that side of the fandom now. When it comes,
that's the side of the fandom that matters the most to Lucasfilm. They've admitted it.
That's all the support they got exactly on both ends. Like, even Grace doesn't even really. I mean, think about it. She's part of the regular media now, as far as most people are concerned. A lot of the views she's get are just lol views, basically.
They thought they were going to grow audiences. They just exchanged it for a smaller audience, and it's been a disaster. And I don't know why they can't see that. Why they continuously...
Because honestly, they think that they're on the right side of history, Grummz. They think that they're doing good. They actually believe that in their heart of hearts. They truly think that this is exactly what Star Wars needs. They think that this is exactly what the MCU needs. They think that this is exactly what any of your franchises or IPs or favorite things that are being pushed with this kind of garbage. They truly believe it. Doctor Who, all of it.
Yeah, it's a religion, isn't it?
It's a
because
cult.
Well, 100%.
It's
Yeah.
no
It
longer because it's no longer 1977 anymore. It's 2024. But the problem with that is the fact that Star Wars from 1977 all the way up until the prequels was timeless. It was for everyone. There was nothing in those movies or those shows to give it a staple in time. I'd say the same thing in regards to there was a scene in this most recent episode where Sol says to May to take the wheel, right? And that pulls me out completely. Why wouldn't you say something more like take the controls or take the helm or something like that? Why are we talking about, and they've actually got a wheel in there?
Because they don't know sci-fi.
Because
they're not sci-fi writers.
He just learned English, Rhino, in the same time as the writer. Come on.
Sol is carrying,
Yeah,
though. He is literally carrying. He's acting his heart
No,
out, and he deserves better.
he's actually genuinely pretty good in the show.
I
He
feel
emotes
so
well,
bad for
I think.
him.
He
'cause
emotes great.
He's really trying hard, and Jedi are supposed to be more stoic than that. But I mean, when he does like just the pure facial movement stuff, it's so well done. The guy's really got talent.
Look, I had a great. Hold on, this is an important announcement. I had a great time on this show. Flash, it's time to say it.
Ninja vanish.
Oh,
But I think it's simple. I think they want to replace the original audience. They want to replace the adults. They want them to turn away so they can get the kids to tune in and program them. It's a competition.
And then they could gaslight people into saying, see, this is what the fan base was always like. It's like, no.
Exactly. There you go. You nailed it. I mean, Grummz started off perfectly. That's what. But I don't believe it's a religion. I think it's a cult, because religions, people can have discussions, debates, except for fanatics. But a cult, you can't talk to a cultist.
That's right. You can't talk from the other side of the aisle to somebody that's involved in a cult.
Well, a cult is also generally run by people. That's another big difference too. Is religions are generally some sort of like higher ideals. Cults they'll have a doctrine, but it'll change on the whims of the cult leaders. And
right.
I think
the cult leaders for this are the people like Disney Lucasfilm, though. You've got Kathleen Kennedy. You've got now Leslie Headland. You've got Dave Filoni. You've got Pablo Hidalgo. And Pablo Hidalgo and Filoni obviously came over from the Lucas era, but they are now at this point where they've even come out and said that basically law and continuity don't really matter. There's been statements, not in those specific words, but there have been statements that have basically said that.
And Warhammer 40K too. A bunch of writers came out, novel writers came and said,
oh, well, look at The Witcher. Look at The Witcher, for fuck's sake.
Well, just look at the Disney tape. Look at the Disney tapes this week that was released by O'Keefe, the third batch.
Can't wait for part 3.
Man, that
we already got part 3. It sucked.
If you don't have continuity of
part 4,
canon, you cannot grow a consistent fan base.
No,
because you're switching all the time.
100%.
We got, I think it was the second tape or whatever that came out. Like they pretty much said what I was trying to tell you guys all this time is it's not only even so much just the religious aspect. It's not even just the money aspect. It is money, but it's a money in a respect that they have convinced people that there is going to be a point where they're going to lose a little money just because they are literally trying to get rid of the male white audience. Why? Because they are under this impression. They have convinced so many people that if they get rid of the old, that all of a sudden this new audience full of diversity is going to flock to these franchises because they'll no longer be scared to be fans. Without thinking about how stupid it sounds that most of these people that you're talking about have supposedly lived their life in some sort of closet, mind you, and can secretly do all this other stuff with their life, no problem. They're not secretly Star Wars fans already. They're just waiting in the wings for the white old men to go away so then they can be Star Wars fans.
Well, the other thing too with that is that people naturally became fans of the things that they loved, right? So there are fans out there of Star Trek. There is the crossover with Star Wars, but there are specific fans that are just love Star Wars. It was a natural progression of fandom that actually happened. Now they're trying to remove those people because they're not making it for them anymore, and they're trying to culminate this new series of fans. And it's like what people were saying earlier on the panel in regards to they're now making it for 12-year-old girls. Honestly, there might have been the one or two out there that, were 12-year-old girls that love Star Wars. I'm not saying that they didn't exist, but it was so minute in regards to, let's say, the 12-year-old boys or even the 19-year-old boys or the 20-year-old boys. It was a boys' brand.
We've proved that before. Yeah, we've gone through the marketing for that.
I think one of the reasons why it is such a girls' brand, though, I can't remember who was talking about this originally.
A girls' brand?
Basically, that Disney built themselves on selling girls' brands. So they're, in a sense, looking at Star Wars and trying to turn it into like what they've done with all the princess stuff.
The
exactly.
issue with that,
and
though,
it's
the
not
issue with
working
that
clearly.
is they've lost the plot on what makes a girl brand, because what they're trying to do is not what girls want.
They can't even answer what a woman. They can't even answer what a woman is.
If
they
you're gonna
can't even answer what a woman is. So what do they know about making a girls branded thing anyway?
That mean, they have to acknowledge that men and women's brains work differently.
Differently,
Different things,
which they can't acknowledge.
I think there's something. There's an undercurrent here, and that undercurrent is that male fandoms have been so toxic and damaging and harmful. That's the narrative, that it must be removed, or the systems of the patriarchy and everything else will persist throughout society.
Cancer must be excised.
It's worth the cost to them. That's what the conclusion I've come to, that they see it as so evil that it's worth the cost to them to destroy all these businesses, all these IPs, in order to excise that audience in search of a new one. And they're desperately trying to find this new audience.
Well, it's like I showed you that post earlier. Her top thing was that she's a Swiftie. Tell me how many Swifties are Star Wars fans, like, honest to God.
If there were as many Swiftie fans who love Star Wars wouldn't give a shit what anyone said.
No, that's true.
They wouldn't if they had millions. But Grummz was talking about evil. I'm curious, Grummz, do you see the same kind of like behind the scenes, the way that Disney right now is trying to cater to like the 12-year-old, the tweens, and they're trying to program this new generation to live in this Disney-topia? Do you see that in gaming as well? I just want to find if the correlation's the same, because I know we've talked about before, like the DEI and the ESG. But
I don't think gaming's trying to find a new audience as desperately as Hollywood is. They've got a pretty healthy market. I mean, we talked earlier about how, with Gen Z and my kids, it's all shifted to games, right? Games. We're talking about games, anime, YouTube. They have healthy markets, so I don't think you see that same sort of desperation. What you do see is this sort of programming that's going on that says, well, if we do anything for the male, audience, the male straight audience, then that is promoting a toxic ideology, and therefore it must be erased. I think you see more of that on the game side.
I think what they're doing, especially, and they're doing it to an extent with the movies too, but it's like, for example, with Mortal Kombat, right? That was a franchise. You could rip a chick in half, but you can't have her be too sexy. Right. It's such a ridiculous idea.
That's
but
with like the new ones.
Yeah. And what they're doing is they're like, all right, we've got you. We know you're going to keep spending all these hours and hours and hours on these games. Oh, you want that franchise you love? Well, you're going to have to take this, and it's going to keep going and going and going and going.
Mortal Kombat 1, I don't think did that well.
I didn't buy it. And I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan.
People don't seem to realize about Mortal Kombat 1, it was consulted by Sweet Baby Inc.
Yes, it was.
Are you talking about the game, or are you talking about the game or the film?
The game.
The game.
Okay,
I didn't buy it, and I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan because I don't know.
Yeah,
I bought it, but I at that point we didn't know what Sweet Baby Inc. really was at that time.
Yeah, that was before all the press.
Exactly, and me and my girlfriend, remember, we played the story for it, and we were very confused because we're like, "This is ass. This is so bad." And we couldn't explain why it was bad. And it was the same thing with Spider-Man. We didn't really know what Sweet Baby was at the time. Now we do, obviously.
Yeah, so now, Suicide Squad really opened up the conversation on that.
See, I just want to go back to like the fan thing, right? And building these new fans. I said it earlier. Fandom has always pretty much been generational. If you've got kids and you're a Star Wars fan, what were you showing your kids, to watch, as good entertainment? You were showing them Star Wars. If they then ended up getting into it, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. That's then their call.
That's over, though.
That whole thing, 100%. And that's basically what me and Tom were talking about earlier in regards to the generation these days have nothing. I actually feel sorry.
We had less.
You don't get Star Wars. You don't get Star Wars. You're not getting Star Wars, and you're not.
We had a lot more quality, Grummz, right? Like I said, this generation doesn't even have a Beetlejuice or a Goonies. or Gremlins,
Jaws,
or Jaws,
Terminator,
or any of these things. Yeah.
Well, we do, but it's just that's what it is. Like we have Jaws. Like I keep thinking about it, and no, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, the first movies I'm going to show my kid, most of them came out before I was born. Like my movies that I'm handing down to my kids are going to be Jaws, Back to the Future, all that, right? And it's like, what am I handing them? That was, it's weird. It's a weird time, which means it's going to create another weird time. And
Cobra Kai is the only one that I could see that has any real crossover because they handled it correctly.
Well, what about Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, but I would like to see the demographic that watches that because I guarantee it's all older people.
Wait,
I don't know about that. I know a lot of younger people. My kid got into Cobra Kai all on his own. See, that's my thing with my kid. Like, he's never been into movies, but he'll discover shit on his own. Okay. Like, out of the blue, like, one day I'll come in the room and he's watching Short Circuit. Oh, right? Wow. It's like, how do you even know about Short Circuit? I tried getting you to watch that when you're 5. He's like, yeah, well, I want to watch it now.
Yeah,
but
my kid's into Blue Oyster Cult. I'm like, how did you?
Blue Oyster Cult's a shit.
That's the same thing with my kid. Yeah, he just discovers music through various ways that are not me, and then to him, it's him discovering it. Right.
We have this broad access. The internet's out there. Everything you want to watch is there. Back when we were growing up, it was narrow focus. Mainstream media controlled what the hype was, what wasn't. We only had a narrow selection of things, and so we all gathered around them. We talked about them at school. Now, kids can go to any niche interest they have, and they don't share a lot with each other. They all have different interests, and it's all spread out. You don't have these sort of like high Q events, in marketing anymore. It doesn't work because the algorithm feeds you what you want, and everyone has different tastes.
It's so true.
Well, it's true, right?
If I just watch a clip from one movie, my feed becomes flooded.
Well, it's like a good example is like
The Godfather the other day, and now it's just the entire movie just in segments.
They love pushing those movie clips.
We would all watch the movie on Sunday nights, right? Because that was what we had for options. We had 4 channels, or maybe 12 if you had lucky to have cable back then. And we all would watch Ghostbusters. So we'd all next day come to school talking about Ghostbusters. We all watched it because that was what everybody did, or the first episode of The Simpsons, or whatever it was that, we don't have that collectiveness anymore. Sure, some of these shows like Stranger Things and Cobra Kai and some other ones do bring groups together for a short while, but not like they used to.